All right. Almost did it anyway. So as we've been saying, the measure of a teacher's skill and success is the outcomes of their students. And so even though you guys aren't really students, we're a community of teachers now. We're all part of the same community of teachers who've been trained in PCA. But for the last 3 weeks, you've been students. And you have obviously demonstrated that Rachel and Bob have done a good job. So this is a fantastic program. I also wanted to thank everybody for being able to relate what you've done to the program goals. Because over the years of doing orientations, I know that orientation material is meaningless until the end of the program, usually, right? Stand up here and I'd say what the goals are and how we're going to do it, and you're thinking, okay, whatever. But then when we get to the end, and when you see how that actually worked out, I'm glad that it worked for you, that it's meaningful. Also, it's been interesting how things have been kind of overlapping the last few weeks. Just yesterday, I had a conversation with a teacher from China who noted that an American teacher in another program was kind of standing off at the side of the room while the Chinese students were doing things in class. And she said, the American teacher isn't teaching. I said, well, maybe in Chinese he's not 教课, but in English he's teaching because the students are learning, right? And I think I remember Li Lao Shi once in a class said in Chinese, 学 originally is imitate, right? So 学 is different from learn, isn't it? Now we do a lot of imitation in PCA, right? 学习, right? 学习. But it goes on to another level eventually. And so everybody's there. It's really great to see that we've come to a point where we can imagine teaching in a different way, teaching and learning. So that's fantastic. And I also wanted to point out it's great to see how Bob and Rachel's work together worked perfectly, right? So you've been doing. We've learned from Dr. Walker that knowing is doing, right? It's a big thing when you go back. Knowing is doing. Just 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, one of the students from Hubei, they said, I know the answer, I just can't say it. Well, how do I know you know the answer then? That's the same as not knowing the answer. Yeah. So now as teachers, we know if our students can't do something, we need to figure out a way to get them to that point where they can do it, right? All right. Well, I'm not going to talk so much more because we can talk all day and then have a big cry fest. But instead, maybe we should get on to getting your certificates because you made it. You've earned it, right? All right. So Wu Lao Shi and Li Lao Shi, could you come up?